cracking seals and taking dabs. Welcome back to Crack That Seal. Welcome back, gang. I have been dying to go over the newest and latest Kaya and Ressan Reserve drop, but I have been waiting to do it on quite the special jar. We have a lot to go over today, so let's get right into it. Today we bring you a year after their first collab, we bring you the second collab between Kaya Extracts and Ressan Reserve, a collab that we had a hand in making happen and bringing together. A special collab because two awesome companies, but of course one's a California hash company and one is a Michigan hash company. Two of our favorite companies over the years that have come together for the second annual collab. And today, we're not just bringing you any jar, because they did a bunch of jars on this drop. But today, we bring you one of their Terp Puddle jars, where not only do we have a collab between Kaya and Ressan, but we have a thumbprint mimic of a jar from Ressan and Kaya. So from Kaya Extracts, you have the Gary Payton, an all-timer. And then from Ressan Reserve, one that I haven't had from him, but of course I've had my eye on, because it's a Z strain, the Project Z. Now I'm going to give you guys a look right out the gate. If you didn't know what a puddle was, if you didn't know what a thumbprint was, it's been made popular by a guy named Cannabis Chris. If you're super into hash, super heady, you're definitely going to be up on what that is. Essentially, you've got a cold cure outer ring and a jammed up middle. The jam being the Kaya flavor, the cold cure being the Ressan Reserve flavor. I'm pretty sure I got that right. We haven't gone in on smell yet. We're going to go in on dab first, trying to get an equal amount of both the cold cure and the jam. Cheers, y'all. Oh, wow. Wow. Lots of Gary Payton up front. It's leaning into a gassy, soapy, cushy Gary. Not overly perfumey. Replacing the perfumey is this crazy, I shouldn't say crazy, but just full on like Z type terps. Gummy gas, sour gas, you know, it has a citrus aspect to the gumminess. Wow, rocked me too. Normally we do nose first, but we had so much to go over at the beginning. You rarely see us, but you have seen us in episodes take the dab first. Dab has gripped my lungs. Dab, I would say, leans more into the Gary of what I put on my dabber. But like all Gary on front and in beginning, and then Z on the back, but now it's more Z as far as the Jolly Rancher effect, as far as what's still lasting. Cushy and Z. Not crazy, overly limey Z or anything like that, but lots of gummy type Z, gassy type Z. The gas part's the binder, and then you have a more like Gary Kush, Gary Soap, but then you have the kind of like fruity-ish Gummy Z. Now we get to get nose on it. I want to show you guys again the thumbprint You see that fat chunk that I took? It's already kind of closing up. So that's 2 different kinds of rosin. Now, typically on a collab jar, it would be all one kind. It'd be a cold cure. You would see it all mixed up. It would be 1 Kaya strain and 1 resin strain. But they decided to make thumbprints they call puddles, because thumbprints are kind of Cannabis Chris's thing. He definitely brought popularity to them. It's definitely his thing. You've seen a lot of people other do it and kind of rename it things. Oh, time to clean that bitch. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of thumbprints. I think visually it is super sexy. I think as an idea, it's not like the worst idea. I'm not mad at it per se. But for me, the whole thing is I want to taste the terps together. This allows you to do different mixes, which is the pro. So, you can go, like for instance, on this jar, you can go more Gary and lighter on Project Z, and you can try the different, and that's fun. And that's cool that you get to try the different mixes to maybe find the exact blend that really brings you the terps you like. I would say in blends in general, I like them because if you do it right, you have now, like obviously if you're just mixing 2 jars, I've seen it done wrong. I've seen it done where you just mix 2 strains and it doesn't go right. But if you put some thought into it and you try it out and you really see, then you can create a brand new jar with a brand new terp. Sometimes, yeah, it's more heavily sided one way, but sometimes you make magic and you create a brand new strain or jar. I'm not necessarily saying you can't do the same thing with the thumbprint, but yeah, harder. And again, I don't think you can ever guarantee you're always going to get the same amounts, even if you wanted to. It's a sexy look, but I do think it's kind of like a, what's the word? It's kind of just a fancy thing to do to hype it up. I love that they did this though. Shout out Cannabis Chris, but I love that they made their own. And what a time to make a thumbprint then with someone else's collab. So again, you have separation of Resin Reserves rosin and Kaya Extracts jam. Now, I mentioned in the beginning, and if you've been watching the show for a long time, you know a year ago we covered a few jars from that drop. I want to say we covered the Terpitos. I want to say we covered the Ren and Stimpy, which was my favorite of that drop, which was another Resin Reserve Z strain, if I'm not mistaken. And if you guys, again, follow me real closely and you saw my story the other day, you saw that I secretly think, as a whole, Michigan has better Z strains than Cali. That's not to say Cali doesn't have them, and that's not to say, like, oh, this Cali jar versus this Michigan. Obviously, Cali's still up there, but I'm just saying secretly, because I don't think many people give Michigan the credit in general. But the more that people have given them credit, what I'll say is people lack giving them the Z credit. They have a lot of good Z up there, a lot of good belts, a lot of good Z crosses. And there's another one, Project Z, I've never had from Resin, but it definitely stands out in this jar. The Gary kind of stands out more on the nose. The nose, to me, it's opening up more. It's got Gary on the front, but this Gary I stand by, not as perfumey. Yeah, it's real, like, it's Soapy Kush. Soapy Kush that then bleeds into, like, a spritzer Z. Yeah, it's Z with a little bit of lime, but like a spritzer, like a lime drink, like a drink with a lime accent. Spritzer with the lime accent. There we go. Jesus, I'm high. And look, what's crazy, guys, is look at this. Remember, I showed you earlier in this episode, and it's already fallen into place. So it just gives a sexy look. I think this is a really, sexy one. This has to be, I'll not that I've had a lot of thumbprints, so I'm not necessarily the thumbprint guy, but we'll say we've had what, 5, 6, 7 type probably jars of a thumbprint style in my dabbing, and this is definitely one of my favorites. I think the two go well together. I think it's gonna get louder, because that would be my only complaint, is I want more, but the more it's opened up on the nose, the more I'm really liking it. The dab had a little bit of Jolly Rancher, but again, you want more, always begging for more. But overall, sexy look, love the collab. I don't think we mentioned it, but the collab was brought on by my love of Resin Reserve, and of course my collaborations with Kaya. I introduced the two, and then the collabs had now happened twice. I love this one even more than the first one. I'm going to give this Terp Puddle from Kaya and Resin, Project Z and Gary Payton, right up my alley. Can't go too crazy high. I'm going to go 8.7 for this Terp Puddle. Definitely, like I said, though, probably my favorite thumbprint I've ever had in general. Not that I've had a lot, but best one I've had. Hell yeah. Love seeing stuff like that from Kaya, and I hope that we do more stuff like that in the future with other companies, because why not? If you're going to do a collab, the thumbprint is the time to do it. It just makes so much sense. Because of the sexy look, because of the fact that it's two companies, and the fact that I just think it makes even more sense when you do it that way. But in general, not a huge thumbprint fan. 8.7 on Kaya's. Thank you for watching. Kaya will be having a drop coming up. That's why we figured we'd do one from their last drop. Keep your eyes peeled for new strains, new jars. You know how we do. Getting out of here. AZ Dank. Like, subscribe, tell your friends to come and watch this hash show.